What's up, wrestling fans, you bastards? I'm here with Jake DeMarco and Dave Rose, and we just talked for about an hour. We didn't record anything because it had nothing to do with anything. And now we're going to talk about wrestling, which just seems so boring after everything else we've spoken about. Don't you feel like this is like a step behind? Like, you don't like, oh, yeah.
Well, after last night, definitely.
What happened last night? Because to me, that was one of the worst episodes of Raw I've ever seen, except for, believe it or not, the main event, which it almost seems like they made it shit so the main event could be good.
Well, I'll be quite honest with you. The best stuff from last night's Raw was the stuff that didn't air on TV.
That's a good point. Well, we couldn't figure out why, and I mean, it became pretty clear real quick that, like, oh, The Rock went out there to soup up the crowd and to plug what they're doing afterwards, and then he went out there afterwards to get the crowd all hyped up so that they'd be hyped for the filming. And, yeah, that was way more interesting than anything that happened on Raw. Unbelievable.
But you had people call into your show telling you that the crowd was absolutely dead. And, again, how is this possible?
I don't know. They were even booing, and The Rock had to get on the PA, IDK told us, and tell everybody to calm down and get into, a normal, like extra mode for the cameras. I even brought it up to Joe last night. I think the only reason The Rock called CM Punk, which, yes, it was a real call, but I think the only reason he did it is because when Paige debuted and took the belt from AJ Lee, that's what they were recreating last night. When AJ was giving her speech, everybody was chanting CM Punk really, really loudly. And I think they needed that to recreate the entire debut. So rather than just tell people to chant Punk, I think The Rock just had a cool idea. Hey, let me leave Punk a voicemail or FaceTime him. And that's why he went ahead and did that.
See, I just thought that they called CM Punk to pop the crowd, to make them crazy, to get them hyped up about what they were doing. But yeah, then Jake came in with the whole idea that they really wanted to recreate the chants. I just didn't understand why they would want to recreate CM Punk chants for the movie.
Because I think they're just trying to
Paige.
make it as historically accurate as possible, because they had the actress playing AJ Lee give AJ's entire speech about holding the Divas title for 200-something days. Then, the crowd chanted CM Punk. Then she finished her speech, and then, Paige came out to the ring, and they had Paige's promo recorded last night as well.
Now, gentlemen,
the match.
I was going to say that we all know that The Rock is a seminal performer, is able to get the crowd rowdy. But let's consider the fact that, again, what he was doing. He was getting those CM Punk chants. Now, granted, this is for authenticity, but the WWE is also quite involved with the production of this movie, clearly. Could this be perhaps an extension of a hand to CM Punk and AJ Lee for the future? Could it be something that they're saying, we want to keep you, not like what we did with the Ultimate Warrior, we want to keep you in the greatest light as possible. We may have had our disagreements in the past, but the door is always open. Do you think that this is something like that?
Maybe, and I do remember someone's calling and saying, like, that somebody came out and said something to The Rock, almost like they were yelling at him, like, and that was right after he started doing the CM Punk call. And they were like, oh, is Vince telling the guy to tell him not to do it or something? We don't know that, and who knows what that guy was really telling The Rock. There was a moment during the call where The Rock started banging on his mic and was like, oh, this mic didn't get turned off. And he thought the mic was turned off, and he was like almost agitated, almost like, this better not be turned off. Yeah, that's what he said. He said something like, this better not be turned off or something like that.
Yeah.
And which leads more evidence to it. So, like, was it really that off the cuff that he did it, or was it, that Vince knew he was going to do it?
Production.
Yeah, I mean, this has caused so much, such a talking point that no matter whether, I mean, obviously to me, if The Rock is out there doing this, people know about it. They all knew. Usually it's they all knew.
But what about this? The fact that The Rock really hasn't given a fuck at some points,
right,
where, because he's so popular, because they need him back because they're so creatively incapable of writing something good, he's got this sort of leeway where he can really do certain things that normally someone would get very bigly
Well, they were
Sorry,
mad.
not
Remember, they were
recommend-
mad at him for talking to the Hogan in the crowd in the front row and the
reprimanded,
Undertaker.
sorry.
Yeah, but anybody
You
else would
remember
have
that?
been suspended. I mean, look what happened to Titus O'Neil just for touching Vince's arm. And The Rock gets away with murder. And Dave, you made a great point there. You know, there are no repercussions for his actions.
That's what happens when you make a lot of
I think it could have been
money.
a slight bit of a grapevine, extension towards the Brooks family. AJ posted a few days ago on Twitter. She said, "Each time an old colleague tells me they miss me in wrestling, it feels like when the candle lady tells Sansa the North remembers." So I have yet to watch Game of Thrones, but I looked into it. Basically, it's a reference of loyalty, that no matter what happens in the past, AJ is always loyal to wrestling.
I can dig it. I knew what she was saying when you said that.
Yeah, so
I can't
definitely,
wait.
wait until Game of Thrones is finished, and I'm going to watch the entire thing.
Yeah, wait
I'm
until
into it.
wait until the next season of 5 episodes comes out.
But I do find it quite intriguing that The Rock, again, being a great performer, knowing how to get that crowd going, but also having an understanding of the organization and the industry, that he would do these sorts of things and know that he's Vince might give him a stern talking to, but he'll be like, "Okay, Vince, when's my next appearance on Raw?" Because he knows that he can get away with this stuff. And to be quite honest, he just seems like a really good guy who's, again, has this love for the industry and is willing to do things that, might push some buttons, but he knows that he can get away with them.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Fox Sports, Forbes, Bleacher Report, Metro, The Sun, The Times, Philly.com, I mean, ESPN, you name it, everybody has the same headline. The Rock called CM Punk in the middle of a ring, middle of a WWE ring. That's all anybody's talking about at this point.
They did the job. They did it.
Exactly. They've made so much buzz. And, CM Punk even responded on Twitter saying, like, "Thank you, Los Angeles. I hear you." Something along those lines. And, I don't think it's a sign of things to come as much as I would love it to be. I mean, could you imagine if Punk was to return? I would be beyond
No, I'm not saying
ecstatic,
things to
but-
come, but at least as an extension of a hand.
Yeah.
Could this potentially be considered something that they might be doing for the future? Let's saying, rather than do what we did with the Ultimate Warrior, let's just do things properly. Let's do things right. And rather than bury these people, let's continue to build a reason for them to return.
Well,
Yeah,
Continue
lay
to
down
build
the
their
groundwork
legacy.
of a
Well, the other
foundation.
thing about that is you can't compare the Warrior. I mean, to be honest, to
No,
me,
I understand
because-
what you're saying.
Yeah,
but
I mean, this guy didn't hold them for ransom.
If you don't leave them a bad reason not to return, they kind of have no reasons not to return. You know what I'm saying? Like they would say, well, why wouldn't I want to return? Because they left things great. They didn't make me look like an asshole, and we might have had our disagreements, but they clearly want me back, and they don't have anything against me. I mean, I think at least that's the impression that I'm getting, that it just appears to be that things have changed in the corporate situation, at least for a certain extent, because they don't seem to hold the grudges that they used to do back in the 90s and 2000s.
You want to know how I bring CM Punk back, by the way?
Offer him the main event at
No,
WrestleMania?
well, no. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's
And
that
the
could be-
ice cream bars.
Yeah, well, New Day stole that, but here's how I bring him back. One,
I ain't eating anything with booty juice in it.
yeah, I'm not eating anything that don't say Punk's cock
Was it
on
booty
it.
juice or booty jizz?
Booty jizz. It's better than booty juice. I'd rather have booty jizz because at least I know that's cum. But like booty jizz, it's like a juice. That's like their asshole. Like that. Fuck that. But no, seriously. What I think that here's what happens. Right, one night on Raw, some masked guy abducts Kane. Right, fucking Kane gets abducted, and then like people start getting abducted, and then we find out it's CM Punk, and the first person he went after is Kane for pulling him out of the Rumble. I'm just kidding.
Mike Johnson of PW Insider just said that
Yeah.
The Rock calling CM Punk was not something that was planned out in advance.
didn't
It was a
seem like
spur
it.
of the moment reaction by Rock when fans started chanting Punk's name.
Oh.
Rock did mention during his segment that he anticipated the chants because of AJ Lee's role in the Page film.
Right.
Also, there were Punk chants earlier in the night when Stephanie McMahon did her segment with Bayley. According to sources in WWE, management was not happy, and there was an attempt to send someone to ringside and instruct Rock to go in a different direction. At one point, a fan yelled out that Rock's mic was going to get cut, and The Rock responded, "They better not turn off my mic." In case you missed it, you can see the clip at
See?
nodq.com.
Wow. So apparently it's worse
So-
than we thought. It's not that ain't an olive branch.
No, so The Rock's cut from Mania now,
Yeah, that's weird.
They wanted
They
The
should be
Rock
happy,
to
though.
wrestle at Mania too, but his insurance wouldn't let him, as we discussed previously, Joe.
Right.
And then he wanted to do something with Vin Diesel due to the Fast 8 movie coming out, Fate of the Furious or whatever they want to call the 19th installment. And they went ahead, and Vince is like, oh, that's a great idea. Let's have Vin Diesel and The Rock have some type of...
They should drive a car out to the fucking ring.
Yeah, well, that would be smart. But now Vince said that if The Rock isn't going to do a match, he doesn't want him there. He wanted them to... He didn't want a fiasco like last year, which last year was pretty ridiculous.
Well, I mean, it was... I just thought it was stupid. But, I mean, like, what fiasco? I mean, he lit a sign on fire. What else did he do?
And then he had a 6-second match against Eric Rowan.
That's right, The Rock and Cena.
And then they buried the Wyatts quick, and it was like a whole big kerfluffle,
Yeah, I mean, that was... It was dumb, but, like, hey, the Cena couldn't really wrestle, so they got him in there. The Rock was there. I mean, I don't know. It was like a bonus thing to me. It wasn't a...
But it just went on for so long, and the night was already 5 hours at that point, and we still had to get through the main event. One thing I wanted to bring up
good.
On a side note is WWE entrance themes for NXT superstars are more popular than anything right now. Bobby Roode's theme and Nakamura's, things like that, are topping the charts. And just in the latter months of 2016, just the digital media and streaming for the songs made $26.9 million for the WWE.
Jesus.
So
They're
Apple's
so good.
iTunes store currently lists just about every superstar theme under CFO, their house producer. Each single retails for $1.29, and they made $26.9 million off of those songs. And they're also reporting that they're now at 1.4 million subscribers to the network in 170 different countries.
Wow. Dude, those songs are so damn catchy and good. I mean, WWE's always produced music really well, but they have hit some home runs with these people.
Yeah, the top 40 themes, though, are all NXT-based themes. Long-standing themes, such as John Cena, Goldberg, and Brock Lesnar, didn't even touch the top 40.
Wow.
The top 10 is, as I said...
Even Kevin Owens, who just has, like, a ringing rock guitar song, like, even his song is awesome. Like, when he came up, and it was that song, man, I don't know, it was, like, paralyzed. It was, like, polarizing. It was like, this is great.
Yeah.
Nakamura.
It goes Bliss, No Way Jose, Sasha Banks, Ty Dillinger, Nakamura, T.J. Perkins, Finn Balor, Styles, Rude, and then Nakamura again, because there's a different version.
Yeah, I mean, even AJ Styles, and his was a main roster one, but but just, like, all these songs are good, dude. The friggin' We Go Hard, even that stupid song is, like, great. Like, they're hitting home runs down there. It's amazing. I love it. This is why TNA's music is so terrible. It's like all just you can't even name like what the songs are.
TNA reminds me of the Casio keyboards that come with those preloaded themes.
Like just like I mean, even like when Mike Bennett comes out, I'm always like, oh man, Mike Bennett. But then like, like what the hell is that? I love Mike Bennett.
A better theme in the cat box,
I mean, can I make Mike Bennett's theme? Because I mean, like I'll put something better than that together.
Yeah.
Like what the hell? Like,
Dave, I'm interested to hear your take on last night's main event. Did you happen to catch the end of Raw?
Funny thing is, it put me asleep sitting down. I don't understand how I fell asleep because I was literally balancing in a way that shouldn't have been possible. But maybe I was like half awake. I didn't actually get to see the end of the final match. I was able to somehow stay up till that final match. But then the next thing that happens that, makes me realize what's going on is the commercials after Raw ended. I'm like, oh, shit. I fell asleep.
So you missed the one good thing from the entire night.
Apparently I did, and I keep hearing some good things. I heard your review last night, and I do want to go back and actually look at how that match came together. I heard there was a few botches. Fine, they're big men, but I'm actually a little more positive than I initially expected to be for that event from all the different comments that I've heard since then.
Absolutely. I'm glad I gave it a chance.
Did you ever think the ring was going to break? Because I never did, only because I saw them working on it.
Spoilers, people. Did it break?
No.
Okay, that's unfortunate because I was
yeah.
actually hoping for that. I wanted to see the whole ring collapse.
Well, when they said they
Oh,
were
no.
reinforcing it, air quotes, I thought they were screwing with it so that it would break.
That's what Leah thought, but I
Especially
said
when
no.
they did a spot in the corner where it was going to be leading to a superplex.
Yeah, and then they didn't do it.
Yeah, and that's when I said, "Oh shit! Here the ring's going to go to hell." But with them filming afterwards, I think that's why they couldn't do it.
Well, that was the other reason, but it was like that gave it away for me. And then the second thing was like just the idea of showing it. Like I was like, if they're going to break the ring, they're never going to show you this. They're going to do it so well because my thing was like, no, the cruiserweights would have been first, so they could tape the ropes and fucked with the ring, and then you would have been like, oh, they were fucking with the ring for the cruiserweights, and then all of a sudden, like the fucking thing explodes, and they can do it from underneath without anybody even seeing it really.
Yeah, which they have before. They've had it with the Undertaker when he did one of his returns.
When the reports came in that the crew was doing something in the ring, I went, "Oh shit!" But then when we saw it on Raw, that's when I went, "Oh well, this isn't happening," because they wouldn't give it away. But Leah was saying just like you that no, that's why they're saying it's reinforced, and they're gonna be like, even with the reinforcement, it broke, But I really didn't think, unfortunately, it was gonna happen. But I was hoping still, like, oh maybe, and then it didn't.
But Dave, I will agree. I rolled my eyes hearing that this is going to be our main event of the night, and I'm like, oh, why didn't they have Samoa Joe?
I didn't roll my eyes. I started laughing hysterically like a maniac in my house.
Well, you said a year ago, when Braun faces Big Show, you were gonna attempt to kill yourself, and it came true. And I was expecting it to be a total get off my TV moment, to quote JD. I haven't been a fan of the Big Show since pretty much ever, but when he debuted in the WWE, I enjoyed him for a little while. And I
enjoyed him in
night,
WCW, to be quite honest.
Yeah,
I loved him
I
there,
enjoyed
yeah.
him, but I didn't like him
Even
in
with the
WWE.
shit booking.
That long hair helped too. Like when he would get waffled, like you could see last night, like Big Show a lot of times, like he does a good job, but as best he can. He's a big guy. Slow is not going to be the most entertaining thing usually, but I was actually entertained by him last night because he was selling stuff like crazy last night. He was trying to like throw himself around. Like I appreciated what he did last night. He really took a clothesline. He smashed the ground. Like normally he just rolls around like he tries not to get hurt or something.
Yeah, he takes those light bumps. Well, last night he bumped hard, and Braun even looked fantastic stamina-wise. He did this kick up off the ground, and to see someone that large go ahead and go from lying flat in his back to standing in half a second.
I saw a clip of that actually on Twitter, and you could see though that Big Show was pulling him up as well.
Yeah, he had some help,
but
still,
impressive.
super impressive. And as I said, it really made Braun feel like a top contender and a true threat. He kicked out of the, knockout WMD punch there, the choke slam. He got in some great offense, those high jumping drop kicks, his running scoop up power slam that he does. And it wasn't another squash match. It went on for, about 15 minutes, it feels like, roughly. Mm-hmm. The whole thing it told a great story, and it exceeded any expectations that I feel anybody had.
I knew that
I
knew after the Brock Lesnar interview that the match was going to go over the normally allotted time.
Yeah, they definitely went longer last night.
But here's another question:
it was 13 minutes, so
yes, it could have easily ended at 11 o'clock sharp if they had only decided to shorten that fucking Divas garbage that we saw with the explanation and okay, I've already heard the crowd chant 3 times. Don't give it back. What should I do, crowd? Should I give it back? I mean, that segment went on.
They suck.
3 times too long. They could have easily gone to, say for example, she even didn't have this whole like, oh, poor me type thing. It's like, really? That's what you're asking stuff? You know what? Screw that. I'm going to keep it because I'm the champ. And then they could have gone right into what they wanted and the match, and then, no.
Yeah, it felt like
terrible
a reissue of a Daniel Bryan segment, the B-plus player angle. It was just, it felt like they
I'll say this, though. I got to interject, though. Maybe WWE isn't interpreting things properly, but we don't want longer I'm still in the old fucking era. Longer women speaking segment. We want longer women wrestling segments. Get that through your fucking minds.
Yeah, they can't figure that shit out. But then they gave us Charlotte versus Sasha for the 900th time.
Yeah,
So we should really be cheering for that.
John Cena Randy Orton moment. You know, I think they've faced Charlotte and Sasha face each other more now than John and Randy. It feels like.
And the matches,
how do you get excited for
comes
that?
Dana Brooke.
And the
Well,
matches
that's the
weren't
thing.
that good on Raw. The matches up on the main roster haven't been that great. They were great in NXT though. So.
And that's the thing, you know, they ruined Bayley. I loved her in NXT. I was 110% behind her. She was my girl, and you know how you love Sasha out and out. That's how I felt about Bayley.
Bayley
now
does
it's
better.
like I couldn't care less.
How do they not know how to book Bayley? You book Bayley with don't say a lot, just say happy things, and then that's
Yeah.
all you say. You say, you know, when she comes out that night, you know, a lot of people are saying like that I should be blah 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 and giving up this title. But I'm not going to because I love you and you want me to be the champion. I'm going to be the best champion for you and all something. Yay! And like that's all Bayley has to do. Bayley should always be like to like a word or a sentence. Like
I just can't fathom how she didn't bring up the fact that Dana Brooke interfered before Sasha interfered. You know, Charlotte had Dana Brooke interfere on her behalf, as where Sasha chose to help. You know, Bayley didn't ask for the help, and it's just how you know the whole thing was so lackluster that it's impossible to fathom their decision making. Anyways, on a corporate side, I mean, the lack of logic is always something I complain about, but they make the fans, you know, feel stupid. It's ridiculous. They always are under the impression that we just forget what happened the week before.
They have
like
botched.
we all have. Yeah, we have short-term memory loss.
Dude, they have botched the women's division on Raw. It's unbelievable. The only one that's good is Charlotte, and everybody else sucks. Like it's unbelievable.
Absolutely. Speaking of the women, Kelly is definitely coming back for another run at Mania, but they're also saying that she's going to be doing a run longer than just
3
a
years.
WrestleMania appearance.
She signed for
getting
3
signed
years.
for 3 years. And then Victoria has also teased a return to the company as well. They had a poll up on Twitter asking which old diva that you would like to see back. It started, you know, Mickey James getting a great, you know, amount of adulation from the crowd. So now they're definitely considering bringing back old women's wrestlers and divas from, you know, the Ruthless Aggression era and onwards, which I don't think will be the worst thing. I mean, there's some that were good. I always liked Kelly. I you know, I realized she wasn't the greatest technical wrestler, but overall I enjoyed her. So
I hated her, but that's but I did like Victoria, so I'm game for Victoria to come back.
Victoria I enjoyed too. Also, there's talk of another Raw and SmackDown draft happening in June right now, and Big Show versus Shaq is supposedly not happening. The rumor mill is spinning, saying that what they were setting up last year at Mania is probably not going to happen this year. So I don't think anybody's looking forward to it. But.
Rewind here, because I think you just glazed over something that shouldn't be disregarded. You're talking about these sorry, I keep going back to the fucking divas. You're talking about these women's. It's WWE brainwashing, clearly.
Yeah.
You're talking about these women wrestlers that were popular during the Attitude Era, the Aggression Era. Is this just another example that they can't figure out what to do and they're relying on old talent? Is it
Absolutely.
potentially maybe just because let's be honest,
They're coming to Raw.
some of this talent retires. And then, you know, they do their own thing. They start their own business stuff. And then they come back and they're like, you know what? I still have that desire to kick out a few more matches. I want to entertain people. I don't want to take that away from them. And they have a full right, I think, to do so. Now, whether or not they're featured in the WWE or they end up in the Indies, that's up for debate. But what do you guys think in regards to that? Are they just bringing up too much old talent due to the fact that they don't understand what they're going to need to do, and they're basically panicking?
I'm convinced.
Or do you think this is more just this older talent that says, yeah, I want to go back into it. I want to get a few more matches in. I want to, you know, inspire more people. I want to have some fun and entertain. Like, what do you think is the actual truth?
They want to have people that can help build everybody that they have that's more valuable rather than just going out and grabbing jobbers. So I believe that's part of it. It's the same thing as, like, you know, when Jericho came back a few times, when RVD came back.
But
they
I'm
want to enhance
confused
the
here.
talent.
So, a lot of this talent it is, in fact, that very talented. They've proven that in all the indies that they've run in. They've proven that in NXT, and that's why they've been pushed up into the WWE. So my question is then, if they are so talented, they can put themselves over. They can put each other over. So why do you need old talent to do that?
Everyone else is going to lose otherwise, and someone's going to lose, and they're all so built up that it's like, well, then if someone loses, you're like, oh, you knocked him down. So WWE would rather sort of sacrifice with somebody like that. But here's the number one. Here's the real reason. The real answer, Dave, is they don't know what the fuck they're doing on Raw. I'm
if
convinced
you're looking
they're
for
lazy.
a jobber that's in the same set as, say, the Brooklyn Brawler, then unfortunately you've got somebody like the one-man band. What's his name?
Heath Slater.
Heath Slater, who I think has shown that he's very talented. When he's teamed with Rhino, it's great, and when they don't put all these limitations on him, he can actually wrestle well.
He's got kids.
And he's got kids. But the bottom line is that it just seems to be that they're creating jobbers out of people that they don't need to. And if they need a jobber, they can easily accomplish that with the people that they have. I mean, as disrespectful as I think that is.
No, you're right. And the poll at WWE.com included Victoria, Lita, Melina, Trish Stratus, Maxine, Beth Phoenix, and Kelly Kelly.
Oh, so, no, Eva Mendes?
The poll is no longer active, so there might have been more entrants, but this is what I see on Twitter.
I'm just being extra snarky.
No, I know, but, she's definitely gone. But I don't know if there was anybody else included. But, yeah, I mean, thank God she retired. I couldn't stand Rosa ever. There was even rumors that they were... Yeah, that she might have been considered for the Hall of Fame. If that happens, then kill me.
That's how memorable she was to me.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, to hear all those divas, I mean, this is something I complain about with Lesnar and Goldberg and The Undertaker. I mean, less The Undertaker, but even still, he's in that category now, unfortunately, that they rely on legends so heavily that it hinders the growth of the current talent, And what are they going to do when the legends are no longer there? Then people don't have a reason to continue watching. People, exactly. The ratings go up when Goldberg and The Rock is there. Well, how come the ratings don't continue to spike, or stay at that level the rest of the time? Because you're not giving people a reason to watch because they have no interest in anyone else besides your returning, cheap pop. And that's a huge, huge issue right now. It's just unfortunate that that's their, it's a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. That's their cure-all right now, is just to bring somebody back and... Yeah, it helps at that point, but they're doing it at the expense of... I mean, look at now. You're going to see Kevin Owens. I guarantee he'll lose at Fastlane so that Brock versus, Goldberg is going to be for the title. I always want to say Brock versus Lesnar. I always do that. But it's just a sad state of affairs at this point. I mean, I like the way that SmackDown, they brought back Mickie James. They did, the Luchadora. They had a little cool story with that moment. And... then Becky got the win, and then they were able to elevate Becky's stock on SmackDown in their women's division, and it was a great turn of events. And then they had the tit for tat booking where Mickie James got her win the next night, but it still was a good story told overall, and it was enjoyable. I was always a Mickie James fan. It's nice to see her back. She's great in the ring, never lost a beat. But they didn't have her come in and immediately win the title and become a powerhouse. I feel like they did that properly. I'm still curious to see how Kurt fits into all these plans.
I don't know why. I cannot figure out why in the world Kurt Angle wouldn't be booked at WrestleMania at this point.
He can fight. I just watched his match in WCPW. With I just don't understand why they wouldn't want to have him fight.
He's got matches like every week. He's got a match like last week.
As we talked about it last time, he's got one coming up in Bridgeport in 2 weeks.
It's quite commendable how he's been able to turn himself around and how he's been able to again just really succeed on the indie scene, leaving TNA and just again doing his own thing and showing that he still has it. He's still got it.
Absolutely. He's been successful and he's a huge draw. He's turning these small events into, huge spectacles because his name is attached to it. I mean, same thing like, you saw firsthand at the top rope with the Hardys. Kurt Angle's, doing the same thing. People he's white hot right now on the independent circuit.
Yeah. So here's the thing though.
It's
people still see him as a legend and, he's got still gas in the tank and stuff. I would never want to take away the opportunity for him to do what he's doing right now. And I mean, the fact that he's now in the Hall of Fame, I think is great. Although, I mean, come on. We've got Vader, who's on his last breath, who should be already in there. We've got China, who strangely is not in there. I mean, and are they waiting for everyone to die like Randy Savage till they finally induct them? I mean, Owen Hart is way overdue. I actually
that's
think
not Owen
that,
Hart's fault. I mean, that's his wife's
yeah,
fault.
that's true, but there's ways to get around that. According to Bret Hart, he'd be willing to deal with the repercussions if he was the one to induct them.
Really?
So there's positive things that could be happening there. I mean, to be quite honest, I'll be so brash to say that Chris Benoit needs to be in the Hall of Fame. That's the bottom line. Chris Benoit needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
That'll never happen.
Of course it won't. But I'm just saying that is my controversial view.
I'm very conflicted, but
I think all those people should be in except Chris Benoit. The only reason why, because we don't know exactly what happened. I know that it's basically on his wrestling career. It should be based on just that. But based on what he did,
exactly.
It's hard
it should
to glorify.
only be based on wrestling ability. That's what they contributed.
They don't base it. That's why DDP's in. He's based on what he did outside the ring too. I mean, that's why he's in there.
There's a
exactly.
there's a legal analysis of this as well. It's called NCR, not criminally responsible. So some guy who ends up, maybe he was in the military and then he had post-traumatic stress disorder and then he ended up doing something bad. Are we going to hold him accountable? Are we only going to view what he did bad compared to what he did good in the military? I mean, granted,
but the military has stripped people of their medals because of actions outside of the military.
That's true, but the bottom line is we're not talking about domestic life, we're talking about military life. In the same way, we're not talking about domestic life in wrestling. We're talking about what did they contribute to wrestling. I mean, quite honestly, at this point right now, if somebody was to ask, did Chris Benoit really destroy the wrestling industry? You'd have to say no.
No, he didn't.
Not,
but at that point in time, he
bruised it. His actions bruised it, and some people still remember the bad that he did. But I mean, that's just one individual who was a wrestler. There are other people that aren't wrestlers that do this, and this happens, on a yearly, case because, again, of mental illness and other issues, people end up going nuts and they do these horrible things. But again, are we going to take away the good that they did in their lives as well as what they contributed to society? I mean, absolutely, it's a hard discussion to have. But if we're going to only talk about wrestling ability, it's just like China. Are we going to talk about the problems that she had with Triple H and all that issue with Stephanie? Or are we going to understand and accept the fact that she contributed so much to wrestling, to women in general, that we're going to deny her a spot posthumously in the Hall of Fame?
No, this is way overdue. In the Hall of Fame this year. I've said that before too. Her and Vader, absolutely should have been in this year's Hall of Fame.
They should have been in. I mean, unfortunately for China, she should have already been in, but
should an induction be based on political reasons, or should it just be based on the love of the actual sport?
Yeah,
it should be. Yeah, it should be.
It's very tricky.
It should be honest too. It shouldn't just be political all the time. Basically, Vader should have been in years ago or a year ago, and China should have been in too.
Savage. We saw that was that political bias that prevented him from going in until after he died, which was a total shame.
That's what makes you wonder.
It should never come to that point, guys. It should never come to the point where one of these legends that they contributed so much ends up being dead before they get inducted into the Hall of Fame. We want to remember them for, the good that they did, and we want them to share with the love that we have for them.
Yeah.
You're right. You're absolutely right. But, I mean, it's still... It's just such a tragic case, and it's so hard to ignore, especially because a child was involved, and...
Absolutely, of course, I don't mind it. I mean, look at Jimmy Snuka, for example. Are we going to ignore, are we going to just look at the fact that he basically killed a woman? Or are we going to say, okay, well, clearly, all these hits to the head contributed to that. It doesn't justify it. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about his contribution to wrestling. Did he inspire people? Yes. Did he advance the industry? Yes. Did he entertain people? Yes. So are we going to only merge them together? Are we going to keep them side by side? Like, it has to be balanced. And the Hall of Fame is supposed to be an enjoyable situation. I mean,
for that one night, it's supposed to be a celebration of wrestling as a whole.
For that one night, kayfabe is dead, and people are just enjoying each other's company.
Right. Kayfabe is dead a lot, actually.
Yeah, nowadays. Joe, really quick, I'm going to interrupt. On March 3rd, that WrestleFest in Waterbury, Connecticut, with Kurt Angle facing Cody Rhodes in the steel cage, it's just been updated that that's his last and final independent match.
Wow. What show is that for, XWA or Northeast Wrestling?
Northeast Wrestling. So March 3rd, it said it's been advertised and updated now as Kurt Angle's final independent match, and all of his bookings past that have been canceled.
March 3rd is a Friday, so March 6th is a Monday. March
So
6th. March
could we
6th.
see something,
Maybe.
past
all right.
then?
Well, everybody in Northeast Wrestling, what's up to all my buddies over there? TKO Ryan, what's up? You need a commentator? I'm coming out there to commentate that shit. Call me up.
Before
I
we
gotta
close the
get
show,
out there.
Joe, who do you think is going to win tonight's Battle Royal? Do you have any idea or speculation to become the number one contender against Bray Wyatt?
I still feel it's going to be some kind of sham, like where something doesn't work out or something doesn't like almost like I don't know if Luke Harper's in it. Is Luke Harper in it?
Well, they haven't announced participants yet, so
I would almost think like Rowan or somebody who's not in it like comes in and just throws everybody out and like I don't know. Maybe somebody will win it. I mean, if I have to pick somebody with a gun in my head, I'm going to say Luke Harper or AJ Styles. But
I was just going to ask, is AJ Styles in there? Because he would be my pick.
I think he's going to be in. Definitely,
I'm sure he'll end up being in there. I mean, we haven't had any set participants yet.
Maybe wait a minute. Maybe that's what's going to happen. I just exploded in my mind. Maybe AJ Styles is going to win this thing, but then when Randy Orton flips, Randy Orton's going to want to be back in the main event again, and they'll bump him for some reason. They'll bump AJ Styles, even though he won the Rumble, the Battle Royal, whatever. And maybe that's what sets him off against Shane McMahon.
It says it's a 10-man WWE title, number one contenders Battle Royal tonight. So here are the participants.
Okay. All right.
Let's see here. Announced so far is AJ Styles, The Miz, Dean Ambrose, Luke Harper, Baron Corbin, and John Cena. That's what I see here so far. So it says in light of the 2017 Royal Rumble match winner Randy Orton's refusal to battle WWE Champion Bray Wyatt, Daniel Bryan established a 10-man battle royal. The participants include John Cena, Dean Ambrose, AJ Styles, The Miz, Luke Harper, Baron Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, Mojo Rawley, Apollo Crews, and Kalisto. And the winner will challenge the new face of fear on the grandest stage of them all, Bray Wyatt, at WrestleMania.
What?
So
AJ
I think
It has to be
Harper
AJ
is gonna win.
Styles. It has to be AJ Styles because I don't
Yeah.
even think that at this point we're going to get a 17th championship title contention with John Cena.
No,
'cause it's
I
way
don't think
too
that'll
soon.
happen.
Every other name that you mentioned doesn't qualify. Specifically, also Baron Corbin, who I think is clearly on the rails to go against what's his name, fucking Ambrose, Dean Ambrose, for that title. I think that he's going to end up getting it, which I think is a good thing. I mean, maybe it's a little accelerated. I would have liked to see a bigger build for Baron Corbin, but I mean, things are so fucked up as it is. You might as well make him the champ. So, give him the title with Ambrose. So it doesn't make sense for him to win that match. Everyone else is a fucking non-question. So I would have to say that the one that really should move on if we want to enjoy ourselves would be AJ Styles.
Is AJ Styles. See, I disagree. I think it's going to be Luke Harper, but I don't think we're going to get a triple threat. And I don't think that that's going to lead to a triple threat at WrestleMania. I think that we're just going to get Randy Orton versus, Bray Wyatt, but I'm not quite sure how they're going to get there yet.
But wouldn't it be great to see Luke Harper more as somebody who's interfering with Bray Wyatt's matches? So Randy Orton needs to sort of protect him and stuff. So there's always that sort of issue there.
The bodyguard and the master. I mean,
Exactly.
I can see that too. That's definitely.
But then potentially a point where Luke Harper comes in to attack Bray Wyatt, and Randy Orton says, "You're on your own, Bray," and he just walks into the audience. Bray Wyatt gets attacked, and then at that point, Randy Orton says, "I'm taking back my opportunity to be, number one contender or something." Or, at that point, he's gunning for Bray Wyatt and is, instantly attacking him wherever he can. So, I don't know. That might
Yeah.
be a good
It
possibility.
could be. We're going to have to tune in tonight. Also announced is Nikki Bella and Natalya in a Falls Count Anywhere match. And they're also addressing if Naomi's injury will be cured enough to face off Alexa Bliss. And how will the Usos destabilize SmackDown Tag Team Champions American Alpha? So,
See, it's like, look at all
quite an
these things to look
action-packed
forward
night
to.
tonight.
Compared
What?
to, look at all the things to look forward to compared to what Raw. Like, when you watch Raw, you have no idea what's going on.
And here's the best thing: it's jam packed into 2 hours,
Right.
where you don't expect what's going to happen. Things are actually surprising as opposed to Raw, and it's an enjoyable show where
I
you're
feel
not
like it's a
actually
pay-per-view.
like me falling asleep at the end of the
Yeah.
show.
I feel like tonight's a pay-per-view. I'm like excited. I'm like really. I'm like sitting here like hyped up. Like, oh my God, Battle Royal. What's going to happen with this Battle Royal? Like, the Falls Count Anywhere match with Natalya and Nikki. Is someone going to get hurt? They're going to do something crazy? Like, you know, as silly as it is that it's Nikki and Natalya, you would think that it would be like, oh God. But you're like, what's going to happen with all this stuff? There's so much stuff, and it's like you said, it's 2 hours.
It's a testament to the
Exactly.
value that they've put into the show, the work that they've done to make this a good job. And I mean, clearly, I think.
Oh, it ain't a
your
job,
buddy
bro. It ain't no job, bro.
But no, your buddy there.
The D-O-double-G.
That's right, Road Dogg
He knows
there. I
the
think
deal.
him and his crew are doing a spectacular job because the difference is so noticeable. It's just unbelievable. I mean, the reactions that people have from Raw to SmackDown are night and day.
Right. It's true. And, you know, you look at Raw, and it's like the only ones they're keeping happy are those mainstream fans. But I suppose they're fine with that because the mainstream fans are, like, becoming the main source of revenue. So, you know, whatever. I mean, the only difference is, like, it's just they're temporary fans. You know, they're 2-year to 3-year fans who eventually stop watching. But then for every person that leaves and stops watching, another one comes in who spends more money. So it's like it's not a big deal yet to them. And, you know, again, when you start to see someday, if the numbers drop below 1.5 million, that's when it'll be interesting. Things will be interesting.
Yeah,
But yeah, the Raw
absolutely.
does things. I mean, I keep saying this, Raw does things. And you really have to tune into Raw to see what they're going to do. And usually it's not much of anything. And what they end up doing is 1 or 2 interesting things or 1 or 2 things, but you don't know what they are yet until you turn it on. Or somebody's coming back, or Goldberg's coming back next week. So it's like,
Goldberg.
so next week on Raw, what are we looking forward to? What is continuing?
Yeah,
Well, Goldberg's going to be there.
coming back, and that's it.
Samoa Joe attacks Sammy, I guess.
Braun Strowman takes down the Big Show again.
I don't
you
know. The tag team champions were beat up by Roman.
Charlotte and
so-
Sasha.
yeah. So
Yeah,
that's really
exactly. It's all a bad taste in your mouth that just continues to make you vomit.
But SmackDown, you're like, whoa, what is this Battle Royal thing? What's going to happen there? Natalya and
I know
Nikki?
people weren't thrilled about the angle. Like, you know, you were a bit against it somewhat at first, and then, you know, we kind of talked it out.
Well, we smell something's up because they got to know something
absolutely.
is.
But it's still intriguing. It's still exciting. Like you said, there was not one redeeming quality about last night's show.
Well,
You know, even the main event you couldn't fully enjoy because you had 2 hours and 50 minutes of bullshit.
I will give them that main event. That those guys, I was surprised.
Hold on. From what I did watch, there was a few redeeming points. I mean, Samoa Joe coming out and beating on Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
And again, they pumped up the audio and you could hear him
I like
talking
Kevin's
like
beginning. I like-
Samoa Joe, badass motherfucker. I mean,
Oh,
just,
absolutely.
he really does portray that, and he did a great job in that. But again, it's just like, oh, here's tweezers, and we're picking out this one little spot that was enjoyable, as opposed to the whole show fucking rocked. And I
Yeah.
mean, I think that's just systemic of the Raw brand, that it's overproduced, it's oversaturated with idiocy, and yet you look at SmackDown and it's a totally different product.
You're right. And see, but I agree that it was a great moment with Samoa Joe, but I can't even enjoy it. I'm an emotional person, you know, and I watch things and I get emotionally invested. And my problem
Okay,
is
what about the KO promo?
see
That was genius.
I wasn't 110% behind it like everybody else was. I didn't dislike it, but I wasn't all for it either. And the reason being is that I'm glad that he's finally embracing the Kevin Steen form of his personality. You know, Owens Fight is finally back. We're seeing that visceral, unchained, badass motherfucker.
Hold on, Jake.
But
Hold on, Jake. Is it that we're seeing that character again, or is it that whoever's in the back there on the speakers is actually letting them be that character?
I think that they're letting him be that character finally. I think, you know, through some protest and seeing that things weren't working. But I feel like it's too little too late, and that's my problem. I am enjoying it, but I think I would have enjoyed it more, you know, had he been this way. Because, I mean, the Universal title's essentially been a joke up until now. It's been just a vanity piece.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it didn't start right. You know, last night was one of the only nights I took that belt more seriously, because he was sitting in the ring with it like, oh, fucking, like it just,
like it
felt
actually
real.
mattered, like it wasn't a purse.
That's what it felt. Oh my God, the belt feels.
And it's pointless
like
when he
something.
says, "I'm the longest reigning champion." Yeah, because fucking
You're the
Finn
only
Balor
champ.
lost it after one day.
Exactly.
So,
and you've
Yeah.
had no real competition because you fought Roman essentially in a handicap match every time.
Well, I
You've
mean,
had
I get that that's
Jericho
a heel
helping
thing.
you out. So
Well, I mean, that's to get heat. He says that, but I mean,
no. But what I'm saying, yeah, obviously. But the point is that, you know, the belt hasn't had any substantial matches to back up its, you know, credibility, because Jericho's interfered in every title defense.
this is supposed to be the flagship show. It's supposed to have the title that sort of speaks to the entire WWE brand, and it doesn't.
all right. It was horrible. That brand hated
Dude,
it. The
do you
universe
not
hated the
remember
Universal
back
title.
in the 80s and 90s when fucking Macho Man, I think it was like, actually it was the 80s, late 80s. Macho Man goes on fucking Arsenio Hall. He's got the championship title with him, and he's just going crazy. Ooh, yeah. And
Everywhere he went, he took that thing like it
and
was the
people
third
saw
leg.
that title. They knew what it was associated with. They knew that it was basically that is an equivalency to what the WWE was, and or WWF at that point. But the bottom line is that you were representing that brand. That title belt represents that brand, and therefore it should be the most valued thing above everything else, and everybody should be clamoring to get a piece of that, because that's basically what it's all about. At least that's what CM Punk said, and what a lot of other people have said, and what is the truth. That the one who holds the title should be the one that's more highlighted, because they're the ones who are supposed to be the face, and they're the ones supposed to be bringing this attention to that brand through that title.
Exactly. The champion should always be in the forefront, because they're exactly that. They're your support beam. They are your everything. They're the ones that you've put all of your stock and credibility into by choosing them to be the champion. And, you know, we have to remember that it is a choice, because this is all, you know, fake. It's orchestrated. So the corporate machine is deciding and choosing carefully. Well, we hope carefully at times, you know, who they're going to have be the mainstay of their company. And, you know, Kevin Owens just never felt like he was suited for that role, at least not the way that he's been portrayed this entire time. The club does not feel important whatsoever, especially when they're getting decimated in a handicap match against Roman Reigns. You know, the Universal title is now off TV because, you know, Chris Jericho's injured. So we're not going to see that thing defended for weeks, if even at all. And, you know, he might just have to relinquish it after WrestleMania. Or Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho will face each other for the Universal title at WrestleMania. And the title will just be an afterthought, because it's going to be a revenge story.
Well, there you go, guys. I think we wrapped. I think we can wrap up. I mean, I think we covered a bunch of shit. It was awesome. It was good. Good
Oh
talk.
man, we hit it out of the park today. This was a
great.
fucking great episode.
I hope everybody listens to this. I'm going to probably title it "Stay of the WWE 73" because it's so good. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Hope you click the like button. Leave comments down below what we said. Follow me on Twitter at Joe Cronin Show. I'm sorry, at Joe Cronin JCS. My other, so it's still suspended. At Joe Cronin JCS. Jake is at Countdown Ended, and Dave, what are you at? Devious Dave Rose.
At Devious Dave Rose.
And
The devious one.
that's it. Subscribe down below if you haven't subscribed to the channel, and I'll see you live tonight after WWE SmackDown for the SmackDown review.